Black people's skin is thicker than white people's. Black people's blood coagulates faster than white people. Black people's nerve endings are less sensitive than white people's. Surveys of residents and medical trainees found that 40% believe one of those statements. So that's Izzy and George, if we're talking about this opening class. Izzy and George think black people's skin is thicker than white people's and that they feel less pain. So the result is that black people are 22% less likely to be prescribed pain medications at all. Doctors often stereotype as being drug-seeking, being dramatic, being loud, angry, rather than believing that the pain is actually severe. And that's largely why the opioid epidemic is being treated so well, because it's mostly affected white people, because we really believe white people's pain. Now we want to rehabilitate instead of incarcerate, right?
What if I told you that half of medical school students in America still believe myths that black people feel less pain? I'm Dr. Michael H. Ford, and this is a story you need to hear. In 2016, researchers asked hundreds of medical trainees questions that should have been impossible to answer wrong. Do black people have thicker skin? Do their blood clot faster? Do they feel less pain? Half of them said yes to one or more. These aren't ancient myths. They're modern medicine, and they shape how care is delivered every single day. Studies show that black patients are 22% less likely than white patients to receive any pain medication, even when describing the same symptoms. In pediatrics, the pattern continues. When a black child recovers from surgery, they are less likely to get the same pain relief as their white peers. Bias isn't always intentional, but it is powerful. It can mean being told you're fine when you're not. It can mean having your pain dismissed or being labeled as drug-seeking instead of hurting. And untreated pain doesn't just fade. It builds, affecting the body, the mind, and trust in the system meant to heal. But on that same note, bias can be unlearned. Hospitals that track disparities train providers on implicit bias and use standardized checklists instead of gut instinct are already seeing progress. Because pain shouldn't depend on perception, it should depend on care. When we finally treat every patient's pain with the same urgency, we don't just relieve suffering, we restore dignity. Healing starts with knowing. Follow for more.
There was even a study from the University of Virginia in 2016 where they interviewed medical students and residents. And they asked them about two mock cases, a white patient and a black patient. Everything was the same, but they asked them to rate the patient's pain, to give the patient pain medication, and also whether or not they believed in these false myths about pain, that black patients' skin was thicker, that we were less sensitive to pain. And what we saw was there was actually a difference in the pain medication that was given to the black patient, that there was a lower pain score given, and that over 50% of these residents and medical students believed in these false myths that the authors came up with about pain. And so what we see is that it actually manifesting in clinical practice where black mothers are coming in saying, this doesn't feel right. I'm having pain. Mm-hmm. They're being sent home and then coming back because there was some underlying reason that wasn't worked up or wasn't investigated.
I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I was shocked when I heard about this. Yeah. James Sims, considered the father of gynecology. But guess how he developed his techniques and did his research? He experimented on enslaved women without anesthesia. He has one quote of this one woman, an enslaved woman named Lucy, 18, worked on for an hour. She said she was screaming in pain for that entire hour. He talked about like how happy he was to always have people he could do his different techniques and experiments on. What's interesting is he perfected those techniques on enslaved black women who didn't have consent. Their masters brought them, and he did his stuff. As he perfected his techniques, then he moved on to working with white women. But when he got to white women, he used anesthesia for them. Anesthesia was available back then. One of the reasons why he didn't feel he needed to use anesthesia for black women was he said, well, black women, they can endure pain more.
Absolutely.
And that is something that persists to today. I had something.
Still a thing.
A medical procedure.
Absolutely.
And the doctor sort of assumed that had a higher pain tolerance just from the jump.
Wow.
Right? Wow. It's this thing that's got into the system that black people just couldn't handle more. And so they're less likely to be heard. Doctors will sometimes do certain things and assume like, well, they'll be fine with it, right? Because of this sort of thing that's in the system.
Do white people still at this age believe and think like black women have high tolerance of pain? Like they don't feel pain? And where did this harmful stereotype came from? What made them to think and to think like a black woman don't feel pain or don't have pain at all, like you don't have feeling. There's this myth that very harmful myth that has been so much believed in United States, in USA, whereby even the medical people, practitioners, they don't take black women seriously when they are in pain, when they are in labor, for they believe or they think that they have higher tolerance of pain. Guys, if it's your first time, my name is Rinjambi and welcome back to our YouTube channel, and kindly we're here to discuss and to look into how things has been unveiling or unwrapping themselves during this time of like Black Americans are remembering or they are looking back at their history, Black American history, and so many things are just coming and you like there's some things are so disgusting. You cannot treat a human like that. You cannot treat a human like he doesn't have a feeling or he doesn't have like I don't know what you think about this and how does it make you feel. And in this channel we have played some videos that we owe the credit to the owners of these videos, and they're there for us to learn, they're there for us to get more insight of what happened and where did this stereotype or this harmful stereotype came from. And for them we owe the credit unto them, and guys, they're there for us to learn more. So guys, just take a look and see how disgusting some beliefs and some myths can be harmful to a community, and surely and really has affected Black Americans in a big way in the United States of America. Just take a look.
Y'all know that doctors to this day some doctors still think that Black people feel pain on a different level. Like we have a higher pain tolerance naturally, right? Not many people know that a lot of medical findings, specifically related to the C-section, came from medical experimentation on Black women, enslaved Black women during the times of slavery. Things that were done to them were truly abominable. Like, I can't even get into it on this app without getting censored. What I can tell you that TikTok probably won't take down is that C-sections were performed without anesthesia on enslaved Black people to practice for white women. And to this day, 26% more Black women are forced into C-section than white women. There are studies that show, this plane is going over me, but there are studies that show that doctors in America, some of them, not all of them, still believe that Black people do not feel the same pain as white people. They are able to handle and withstand different, more strenuous things without folding. That sounds an awful lot like slave mentality, does it not? Did y'all see the video of that guy saying that there was a Poland study that showed that Black people didn't need certain vaccines because they have this antigen level that's different from white people? You won't learn about these things in school, in history class. You won't learn about the women that were experimented on. You won't learn about the women that got their babies ripped away from them or had to watch their babies starve while they fed the white women's babies. You won't learn about breeding farms. Like, y'all, it just gets worse and worse. The more you dive into learning what happened in slavery, it gets worse and worse. There were farms that Black people were sent off to, and they were more prominent than you would think. Heard about Black people picking cotton, but we never heard about the breeding farm. They would force men and women to go there. A lot of times girls were sent there as soon as they menstruated. They would put hoods over the man's eyes, most of the time just the man, because it doesn't matter what the woman's seeing, right? Because they didn't want the man to see that he was R-wording his moms, his nieces, his sisters, the people that he knew, his friends. They would pit slaves against each other that came from different plantations, keep them in rooms about 6 to 8 feet large with like a cold metal bench to sleep on and like bare minimum necessities that you need to stay alive. And this would be their lives. This would be their lives until they would either unalive from diseases, or they would send them back to the other farms once they got their litter of pups, because Black babies were not babies, they were litters of pups. Let's not even get into how syphilis was put in the Black community, and they watched and waited to see what would happen, and it was just running rampant in our community, and they were studying us like rats. What I need some of y'all in the comments to understand is that we're not going to stop talking about it. We're going to keep talking about it. And if you have what quote unquote Black fatigue, is that the new thing that I'm seeing on the internet? People that are tired of Black people talking about these things. I'm sorry. Like, I really don't care. I refuse to let these things go unspoken about. Some people may call it negative. I don't call it negative. These people deserve to have their stories heard, because if it was your family member, you would want the same thing. On the other hand, we can remember the evil done to Black people without being hateful. We can remember this and speak their names, say their names without spewing hate on people that didn't hurt us. Not all white people are racist. Like, let's get that, let's just specify that right now, because a lot of the comments I've been seeing in these videos, I don't play that. I don't accept hate for any race, anybody. But again, I do think these things need to be spoken about. I will continue to speak about them because, like I said, these things have been withheld from history. You're not going to learn about this in school. As always, y'all, make sure you like and follow and comment down below what you think. What else should we talk about?
Blacks need fewer antigens than...
This is so dangerous.
So you get the same measles vaccine.
Mr. Kennedy, with all due respect, that is so dangerous. Your voice would be a voice that parents would listen to. That is so dangerous. I will be voting against your nomination because your views are dangerous to our state and to our country.
I mean, do you think science is dangerous, Senator? This is published, peer-reviewed studies.
I yield.
You know what it reminds me of? No one's going to say it, but for decades now, people have said Blacks don't feel pain, the same pain. We have a higher pain threshold than others. It just scares me in two instances more than anything. One, Black women having babies. When you say you're in pain and someone says you're not in pain and they give this ridiculous response, and this is who we're going to have leading our nation, this is just terribly disheartening for me as someone who's in healthcare. And if this is what they believe that are at the head, you know, what do we expect other people to be following? The other part is with hospice care, because our goal is to maintain pain management, keep you comfortable. So if the belief is that certain people have a higher pain tolerance than others, are they going to believe you when you say you're in pain? I yield.
Pain in Black women gets treated different than it does in white women. Let's name a myth that is still hurting and killing people. There's a racist belief in medicine that Black women tolerate pain better, not because they feel less pain, but because they can handle more of it. And that belief changes medical care. When a Black woman says she's in pain, she's more likely to be told that it's anxiety, stress, or something she can push through. If she stays calm, she's stable. And if she advocates, she's dramatic. Meanwhile, the data shows that Black women are less likely to receive pain medications, less likely to get imaging, and more likely to get delays in life-saving treatment. Pain is treated like it's subjective, except somehow it's only subjective when the patient is a Black female. A calm Black woman in pain isn't comfortable. She's conditioned. She's been taught that screaming doesn't help, and silence gets weaponized against her. This myth doesn't just minimize pain, it delays diagnosis, delays surgery, and often costs limbs. And sometimes it also costs a life. If you work in healthcare, insurance, or policy, challenge your belief every time you see it. And if you're watching this and you're a Black woman, you're not tolerating pain better, you deserve to be believed the first time. Follow, share, and say it out loud, because pain doesn't have a race, but your bias does.
I passed out and an ambulance came to pick me up, and I went to the hospital, and they were concerned for the first hour only about getting my information, and then they left me standing for like probably another hour with no bed, and then I started throwing up from the pain, and then magically a bed appeared, and there was no treatment. I just kind of waited it out, and then once the pain was over, I just took the shit and left.
Remember when I was talking about history?
Yeah.
Now, the history of medicine with African Americans was that Black women don't feel pain.
Mm-hmm.
They used to operate, the father of gynecology, this guy Mims, they just took his statue down in New York.
Yeah.
I live in New York. But there was a history, they just took this guy's statue down because he experimented on Black women slaves for white women. They would just use unanesthetized Black women slaves to work on their, and to do experiments. That's what they did. That's why the treatment of black people and black women, especially in hospitals, they think that they don't feel pain. That's why you got to be very careful. That's why history is very important.
This is something I talked to my wife about too, and I'm hearing this so much, and from so many different people, like about women and their experience of not being taken seriously in hospitals, especially in pain or something going on, and it's just like it's a weird thing to to even think. If somebody
do you not experience that when you go? Do you guys not experience this in hospitals?
I'm glad that you asked that.
Are you going to hospital?
And my wife.
You in the hospital a lot?
No. I sometimes I butt heads with my wife. I'm like, no, just ask. And it wasn't until she started telling me about how she's being treated in the hospital, because I'll just go in there and be like, hey, something's not right here. I need you to draw blood. And they'll say, okay, no, but I need an extended panel. I want more than just your 3 or 4 things, your hemoglobin, this and that. I want this. No, sir, we don't do that. No, so I'll just go in there and they'll go, oh, okay, well, fine. And get a little attitude, but they'll give me what I want and give me what I ask. But I don't have that experience as a black man, as a man. Like, I don't have the experience.
Do black people feel pain the same way as white people? A 2016 study showed that 50% of medical students and residents who were studied thought that black people couldn't feel pain the same way because they had thicker skin or their nerves didn't work the same way. Where is this from? It's a holdover from the days of slavery when white people had to feel better about using slaves. Black people used to be operated on without anesthesia and were used in studies without their consent, so this was a convenient lie. To this day, black people are less likely to get the same treatment in terms of pain medication. They're more likely to wait longer in the emergency room. They're less likely to be taken seriously. It's a holdover from the days of slavery. And in my field, this plays a huge role in the black maternal and morbidity crisis. The call to action. Doctors, nurses, anybody in the medical field, check your implicit bias. If you see somebody spreading these lies, stop them, but still stop yourself every time you're caring for somebody who has a different skin color than you and check your bias. If you are a woman of color, speak up. If this is happening to you, ask to speak to a different nurse, a different doctor, report them, speak up.
There's a video going viral right now about a black mother in labor, doubled over in pain, begging for help, while hospital staff ask her routine triage questions. I won't play the whole thing because I don't like amplifying black trauma, but here's a clip that highlights what I want to talk about today.
Right now. Is your due date 11? Y'all treat all your patients like this or just the black ones?
She gave birth 12 minutes after that moment. My name's Dr. Joel, the medical mythbuster, and today let's talk about black women and pain. Because as shocking as that looks, this didn't come out of nowhere. Moments like that are connected to a much longer story in American medicine. I want to start that story in the 1800s with J. Marion Sims, often called the father of modern gynecology. He conducted studies on enslaved black women without any anesthesia, justified it by saying that black women didn't feel pain in the same way as others. That lie didn't stay in the 1800s. It became embedded in medical and general culture, spreading through textbooks, training, and systems. Versions of that myth still show up today. For example, a study in 2016 from the University of Virginia found that at least 50% of medical trainees believed at least one false statement about biological differences in black patients, including the idea that black people have thicker skin or feel less pain. And that's how bias works. It doesn't always show up as hatred or slurs. It shows up as delays, as disbelief, as assuming that someone is exaggerating, as telling a woman in active labor to just answer a few more questions. When she asks, do you treat all your patients like this or just the black ones? She's not imagining things. She's naming a pattern that's been documented for decades. This is part of the reason why black women in the United States are 3 to 4 times more likely to die during childbirth compared to white women. Not because of biology, but because of systemic bias and delays in care. For me, this isn't about blaming one nurse in one moment. It's about understanding how the systems we built and the history that we inherited make moments like this feel normal when they're anything but. We can't fix what we refuse to see. And black women deserve a healthcare system that listens the first time.
So there are actually medical professionals who believe that black women don't feel pain the way white people do. Okay, what does that mean? My current source, endofound.org. It ends in .org, so you know it's legit. Maternal mortality and injury rates are higher for black females irrespective of income or education level. Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related complications than white women. Black women are also 3 to 4 times more likely to suffer from a severe disability resulting from childbirth than white women. Health conditions that disproportionately impact black women, such as uterine fibroids, receive very little government research funding. 60% of black women over the age of 35 suffer from fibroids. But annual funding for the condition is a whopping $17 million, which seems like a lot, until you realize $86 million went to cystic fibrosis, which impacts way less people, but the people that it does impact are primarily white. And in part 3, we'll talk about advocating for ourselves.
Ever wonder where the stereotypes about Black people feeling less pain come from? Hi, my name is Dr. Brittany Francis, and I'm a social epidemiologist who studies how structural racism impacts maternal mortality for Black women, and I'm here to talk about it. So, during the late 1700s and during the period of slavery, we start to see the development of medical institutions as we know them today. In the late 1700s, we get the first medical school here in the United States, and shortly after, several follow. During this time, being a doctor was very prominent, as it is today. Obviously, they were learning how to be caretakers and learn how to navigate various diseases, but there was a large part of the medical industry that was intertwined with slavery. Doctors were the ones who were responsible for thinking about care intake as it related to slaves, making sure that slaves were in sort of working health to make sure that they could keep up with the conditions that they needed. But another thing that we see emerge during this time is the big usage of surgical experimentations on enslaved people to learn more for the development of the medical curriculum. One really big example as it relates to maternal and child health is Dr. Marion Sims. During the period of slavery, we see a large uptake in surgical experimentation by Dr. Sims on enslaved women to learn more about gynecological and reproductive conditions. He is now known as the father of modern gynecology. But as he implemented these surgical experimentations, he very rarely used anesthesia. It's documented in prominent medical journals that he says that obviously these enslaved women just don't feel as much pain. And then goes on to say that after he perfected these surgeries and implements them in white women, that he absolutely uses anesthesia. Starting to see sort of where we're getting at, we start to see this development of these stereotypes or these ideas that Black people somehow feel less pain. We see that notably in studies today where doctors are interviewed and they're asked and they think that Black people have thicker skin so they feel less pain, or that they don't necessarily feel things the way that others do, and so they don't necessarily need the same protocol. And we know that from this establishment of these theories, especially around medical experimentation during this time of slavery, that is just false. But it really impacts the way that people interact with the medical care system and the care that they're able to receive, especially during pregnancy. So if you want to learn more about how medical discrimination shows up for Black women here in the United States and how some of these stereotypes show up to impact the clinical encounter, follow and like.
I think that the strong Black woman trope has, there's a history that's rooted in it. It's a deeply racist history. I mean, one of the things that I learned through being a part of this Advil Pain Inequity Project is that the idea that Black people's skin is thicker and that we don't experience pain the same way white people do, that we have a higher pain tolerance, is something that has actually been taught in medical schools to physicians up until modern times, like within our lifetime. That is actually still being printed in textbooks. So that trope doesn't come from nowhere. That trope has been woven into literature that has guided the way physicians interact with their.
Hey y'all, Black women, this is for y'all. I have a question. How many times have you heard, do not let them break you? Do not let them see you sweat. And under no circumstances should you let them see you cry. For me and my experience as a Black woman, I believe these are like some of the messages that have been instilled in Black women from the time of our birth. But I'm gonna tell you how this is causing some issues. Have you ever witnessed or like been in an experience with a situation with a white woman and it gets kind of hot and maybe she even instigated that situation and now she starts crying and all of a sudden everybody's all compassionate and oh, look, what's going on? And we're looking like, here she go with these white tears and it's manipulation. But in actuality, the white lady, she may have been taught since she was a child that it's okay to cry when your feelings are hurt, when you are experiencing discomfort, when you are under pressure or overwhelmed or in pain. That is a normal human emotional reaction. But because of our history, Black women, black men, all of us, but I'm talking about black women, we have been taught that displaying certain emotions is considered as weak. So in turn, we demonstrate actions that we see as strong. So when we should be scared out of our minds, we are demonstrating calm. When we are uncomfortable in a situation and I don't trust who that is over there, I don't know where I'm at, we become really quiet and stoic. When somebody's disrespecting us, or we feel like people are playing us, or they're not taking us seriously, we can get assertive, aggressive, or even loud. We show anger when we're actually hurt. For us, our vulnerabilities are to be kept private. Our weaknesses, our pain, they're usually not acknowledged, and nor are they tended to if they are acknowledged. And our tears, you bury those because we've been taught anybody got time for that. There's no time for crying. So y'all, this leads us to be viewed as if we don't experience pain. I know you've heard of the studies where there's white medical students that were asked about pain in black people, and they felt like black patients did not experience pain. This is because we work so hard through pain, because in our mind, if we don't, we'll appear as laziness. But again, this is a thought that was instilled into our ancestors and passed down to us by the system to keep them working. But we've taken it as our responsibility to combat these stereotypes. So all the while we're trying to discredit this stereotype, we're now feeding the stereotype that we are angry black women who don't experience pain. As a healthcare provider, I can say all of this leads us to being in a space where our pain is mismanaged, not by just the healthcare system, by us as well. This has left us unheard, misjudged, and discarded. Today, I watched a video by a black woman TikToker, and she talked about the Dr. Jackie situation, and she talked about her experience in the healthcare field and experiencing how people are treated based on their pain levels and based on race. And her suggestion at the end of her video was that we as black women, and she was a black woman, we as black women need to learn how to cry. We need to learn how to cry like white women. And I'll be honest. Initially, my initial first reaction was, so you want us to assimilate, and not her, but we got to assimilate everything, including our emotions. Even in our emotions, we're expected to now assimilate how we respond. But in fact, when I thought about it, in order to be taken seriously by this system, we have to rid ourselves of the coping mechanisms that we developed to survive the abuse by that same system, because those mechanisms that we thought were protective are now leaving us more open, more vulnerable, more just exposed, and leaving us hoping and wishing and praying for a rush of compassion that is usually provoked by a white woman's tears, a normal emotional reaction. Y'all, stop allowing this world, stop allowing everyone, including yourself, to label you and make you a strong black woman. It's a title that holds no weight. It's a title that yields no gains. It takes and it never gives. It's a title that limits our privilege, that whole female privilege that most people have. It limits that privilege. It increases our output, or the expectations of our output. And lastly, it leaves us with the blame for our experiences. When, like Tupac said, we were given this world, we didn't make it, but we're left with the blame. So ladies, feel, and when you feel, demonstrate that emotion. You have the right to. You don't have to be the strong black woman. Stop allowing the world to make you that.
Black women's pain is invisible until we die from it. Why do y'all make the effort to believe in our productivity, but not our pain? Like, bitch, these folks built medical careers off of experimenting on black women, then lied and said our pain tolerance was superhuman. And bitch, did you know that it used to be 100% legal to experiment on black bodies in the USA? From slavery all the way to the 1970s, black people had no legal protection from medical experiments. And as a sickle cell girly, I will tell you from firsthand experience that they do not believe our pain. They think that we are crackheaded junkies desperate for pills. I gagged because sickle cell is the most painful genetic condition, but yet Black women still get doubted when we say we're in pain. Like, medical research shows that sickle cell pain is equivalent to childbirth, a broken bone, and even gunshot level pain. And doctors still think we're exaggerating. That's not an accident. Racism is literally baked into the medical industry. When I say they believe in our productivity but not our pain, like, let us be grinding, burnt out, and carrying the whole community on our back. We're strong, yes queen, magical and unstoppable. That's what you call exploitation dressed as compliments. Stop letting the world trick you into dying for people who don't even believe you when you say you're in pain. Your pain is real even when they ignore it. Your body deserves rest even when it is inconvenient. Black women deserve so much more care. Not after we collapse and it's too late. And advocating for yourself is literally so crucial. Because in a system that's literally built to doubt Black pain, your voice becomes a form of protection. Advocating doesn't mean fighting, even though me and my homegirls could tussle. But speaking up when something feels off, and bitch, get that second opinion. And if you can't speak up, bring someone to advocate for you and be your voice. Because Black coochie does in fact matter.
Yes, guys, this has just got me by a surprise, whereby it's hard to believe that there are people who are learned, medical practitioners who still believe on this myth of, like, Black women tend to feel less pain compared to the white woman. And this belief was just created a long time ago, like 100 years ago. It's hard to believe and to take this thing like, is it serious? Sometimes you not believe that there are people who are medical practitioners, and these people are the one who are operating women in United States of America, where during the pregnancy, during giving birth, and they're the one who are trusted to take care of these women, and they still believe that they have this myth, and they took them this very serious, because they tend to think or to think like, when now, like, you're operating a woman or a Black person or a Black woman, they tend not to take them that seriously and give them like a rest. They don't give them the full treatment of maybe the pain or what they're going through. And by that, they think like this thing is true, or they think like whatever they are told, whatever they were told, it is true. And there was this doctor called J. Marion Sims. He was a doctor, and historically it is told that he operated this woman without even inducing some medicine, the medicine that are being used to, like, to relieve some pain or to numb some areas so that you can be operated. He didn't do that. He just did it normally, like the pain that woman went through. And now they think like, he succeeded because maybe that woman didn't die. Black women tend to feel lesser pain, and he came up with that myth, and they believed in that. But this was a myth, or was just a belief that they believed that they didn't prove it scientifically that it was correct. But they believed in it for them just to continue oppressing a Black woman, to continue igniting pain on these Black women. And especially in this age or in this time that many Black Americans are remembering the Black history, surely you can tell now loudly, like now you can think, or like you can believe that surely it was a Black. It wasn't something that was pleasing, but the beauty out of it, the beauty on it is like people are learning a lot and they're becoming aware of what happened to the Black Americans. And now you can understand the reason why they're even calling for, like, they want to be separated, they want to be understood, they want to be taken, like, they're the one who suffered this, the people who are there before them, they're the one who suffered all these. And guys, it wasn't something that much pleasing. You can just see women being so much in pain when they are giving birth, when they are in pregnancy. Nobody is taking them seriously, and they tend to think like, because you are black, you have a thick skin, you don't have pain, or you cannot feel pain. I can imagine what these people has been going through. If even to this date or at this age, there are these practitioners, medical practitioners, they still believe in such a myth, and they took it very seriously. And you can just see how they take these sick people or these ill women, black women, in their land. And maybe now I've come to realize or to think why that's why they maybe they introduced that bathing in a tub in the house, because many of them are in fear, because they have gone through that, they have died in those wards waiting for the treatment. But the doctors, they have been told that like if you are a black, you don't have the same pain. And you can just see like there are more black women who have just given birth and they have died giving birth compared to the white women, because that's what they believe, like they don't go through pain. Like seriously, okay, this is something so disgusting. It's a very harmful myth that you can not imagine, or you cannot imagine a doctor thinking like that. Like, you cannot tell me, like seriously, that they used a black woman to do these surgeries without being induced this pain relief medicine, or without being numbed in those areas. Like they were using them like how they are using rats to do the test and all that. Guys, think about this, because to me, I feel like it has hit me so hard, because I think this is my first time that I've heard of such. I've never heard of it, and I've never heard of this J. Marion Sims, this doctor, these medical practitioners, and I wanted to know much about him. Like, was he really a human doing all that thing or doing all that? And even to date, we might even forget, maybe they didn't have the knowledge to know the value of a humanity, the value of a human. But now to date, you get someone in the hospital, like someone is crying, someone is in pain, but you're just looking, you're just like, you're not doing anything, you're not even deducing those pain relief thing when that woman is giving birth. It's like you're not even a woman, you haven't gone through that. Okay, fine. Even if you haven't gone through that, you're a woman. You are all prepared, even through monthly menstrual period. You've gone through that. Even if you haven't given birth, you can understand, or you can imagine the pain maybe some of us or some of the women go through every month. And that's not exceptional, like you are a black woman, that's why you're feeling so, or you're a white woman, you're feeling pain because you're a white woman. No, people feel the same. The feeling is the same. It is the same as any other animal out there. If you don't regard a black woman like maybe a human or whatever maybe they think a black woman is, you just now know that and believe and know that this person also, he is a mammal. We are all humans, and they are like even animal. They feel pain. You don't have to punish animals because they are animals. They cannot speak for themselves. And now, guys, it's not something which is so pleasing. I don't know what you feel about this, because you don't know how you react about this, because many has reacted, and you have seen the videos of many Americans, black Americans, reacting on the same, something so disgusting, something which is something so disgusting to an extent where the black women has already, they have been reporting, they have been saying that doctors don't take them seriously. When they're in pain, they don't take them seriously. Guys, they failed. Even at this age, they don't know that it's a nervous system that controls the pain. And everybody has that. Everybody has nerves. Okay, some things we don't know what people think, because all humans, they feel pain. All humans, they feel sad. All humans feel happiness. All humans feel what you think like you are feeling. All humans feel so. In this Black Month history, I think this should even should be taken very seriously, because it's unveiling a lot and educating a lot of the people, a lot of people, what happened and what has shaped what America is right now. Because if they would not have condemned this, if they wouldn't have even gone through that, like, and I have heard someone also saying, like, because of the pain, they are made strong. Like, seriously? And that's when I hate that word, like, you are a strong woman. You are not, you are a human. You feel the same. You feel the anger the same. You feel the pain the same. You feel disappointed the same. And that you feel is the same. So guys, there is no exception of what you're feeling compared to others. And that which people believe that Black woman, you should be strong. You should be strong. You should stand. No. They are not strong. They are humans. If you maybe you take it like strong is like this person doesn't have feelings. That's why you said it. You take it like a strength. You take it like it's a covering, or it's something which covers this Black woman to feel pain. That it doesn't have pain. No, she's not strong. She has pain. She has disappointment. She has the grief, the sad. They're humans. They're human. They feel the same pain that you white women you're feeling. You doctors, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about it, but I don't feel good about this myth and thinking like someone can take or can practice a myth that was believed, was ignited to the men of, which is a total lies. 100 years ago, it was introduced, and you're practicing the same myth up to date. God, they didn't deserve that. Black woman deserved respect. They deserve to be treated normal, like a human. They deserve like to be honored, to be protected. They deserved to be taken care of like any other human outside there. And guys, with this and many more, continue to subscribe, like and share. We'll come back with many more stories.